of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Your Rangers continue to live up to their mantra, never ever quit. Last night's thriller was a textbook example of a team that is patient, confident, and executing all aspects of the game well. As Jeff Bannister puts it, they're gritty, they grind it, and they compete. With 2 solid wins in the first 3 games of the trip, they'll turn to Nick Martinez today for Game 2 against the Chicago White Sox.
Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. Welcome to the south side of Chicago. A hazy sunshine overhead, a comfortable afternoon. The Rangers look to make things even more comfortable as they take on the Chicago White Sox in Game 2 of this 3-game weekend set. And welcome in, everyone, along with Mark McLemore, Steve Busby. I'm glad you could join us for this Saturday matinee affair. Easy for me to say, but it's easy for the Rangers because they're playing good baseball. And the guy in the middle that has been the model of consistency, Mac, has been Prince Fielder.
Yes, he has, Buzz. All year long, from day one, Prince was healthy, and that's really all it was going to take for him to get back to form. He's been the most consistent and the most potent hitter the Rangers have had all year, and in particularly against this White Sox ball club. Over the last 11 games, he's just been on fire. He had a 381 clip with 3 homers and 9 RBIs, and an OPS of 11.93. So he's definitely getting the job done against the Chicago White Sox ball club.
And the Rangers certainly relied on Prince Fielder to do the heavy lifting, and now Mitch Moreland has joined him in the middle of that order. It's provided a pretty solid 1-2 punch with the absence of Adrian Beltre. We'll come back with more of our pregame from U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. By Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Well, a nice afternoon here in Chicago. Very comfortable afternoon at the ballpark. Before we get things underway, let's head down and check in with Emily Jones.
Well, Nick Martinez, Buzz, is off to a fantastic start in 2015. He credits a lot of things for that success. His routine, attacking hitters, trying to keep things simple. And another thing that's been very big for Nick, especially recently, has been his pace. He says it's big not only for him, but for those guys behind him.
The more I keep the defense involved, I think the more plays they're going to make for me, and they're also going to make some spectacular plays. Keep them on their toes. See some more diving catches and, good throws from the outfield.
So far, so good for Nick Martinez and the Rangers as they look to take Game 2 of this 3-game series in Chicago. Nick has been good, especially on the road and especially during the day. Both of those things working in his favor this afternoon here in Chicago. We've got the first pitch between the Rangers and the Sox when we return here on Fox Sports Southwest.
Home Run Challenge, and every Rangers home run hit today raises $12,500 for prostate cancer research. And you can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. And so far, $1.6 million has been raised through your generous pledges. The White Sox have taken the field. Now Mark McLemore is going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup.
All right, leading off for the Rangers today, SHIN-SOO CHOO. Batting second, Elvis Andrews. Prince Fielder at third. Mitch Moreland will do the cleanup hitting tonight. Brian Rule will be in left, batting fifth. Adam Rosales will hit sixth. Leonis Martin will hit seventh. Carlos Corporana hit eighth. And Rougned Odor will bat ninth.
And that lineup will be charged with facing Carlos Rodon, the 22-year-old left-hander out of North Carolina State University, a draftee in 2014. Hard fastball and slider pitches with an occasional changeup, but everything is pretty much in the upper ranges of velocity as far as the Ranger hitters are concerned. They will try to make sure that Rodon is going to be in the strike zone today and try not to chase too many out of the zone. He has that hard slider / cutter he likes to throw out of the strike zone. And when he gets that anywhere close and you start swinging at it, he can be overpowering because his fastball can go to the upper 90s at times. Now let's take a look at the White Sox defense, and we'll back up Rodon here this afternoon. Outfield, the same as last night. Cabrera in left, Eaton in center, and Garcia in right. Jose Abreu at first, Carlos Sanchez, Alexei Ramirez up the middle, Connor Gillespie at third, and Tyler Flowers is behind the plate. Well, the Rangers come in 6-4 in their last 10 ball games. They are 22-15 away from Globe Life Park in Arlington. Picked up a game last night on the Astros, now trailing Houston by 2.5 games in the AL West. And the first pitch this afternoon to SHIN-SOO CHOO is ball one. Choo hitting at .238, 8 home runs, 32 driven in. Rodon back to him. A swinging strike. It is 1-1. 76 degrees here this afternoon. The wind drifting in from center field at less than 5 miles an hour. Kind of a hazy sky overhead. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. Phil Cuzzy, by the way, calling the balls and strikes this afternoon, the veteran umpire. Rodon to the wind and back to Choo. Breaking ball. There's that hard slider. He'll change speeds a little bit with that. That was the slower variety of the slider. Your slider can get up to 89, 90 miles an hour, which makes it tough when he gets that ball down and in, especially to right-handers. There's one on Choo's fist, and a little roller to first will be out number 1 as Abreu steps on the bag. That couldn't have felt very good.
No.
The ball got in on Choo's hands.
No, that ball looked like it ran a little bit to Rodon, and I hate to chew up a little bit. It's tough when you've got a pitcher that throws as well as he does with the quality of pitches, and he uses both sides of the plate. You saw a breaking ball, the pitch before on the outside part of the plate for a strike, and he comes back in with that two-seamer and ran it in on Choo.
Elvis Andrews stepping in. Mac, in this ballpark, with the hazy sun, is there any glare problem here? You played in this ballpark several times.
Yes, there is some glare, so you've got to have your Oakleys on in day games here. A lot of ballparks you don't necessarily need your shades on, but you've got to have them on, in my opinion, when you're playing in this ballpark. You see the haze, the ball goes up, you can easily lose it. So you've got the haze, you've got the clouds back there, and it's basically the same color as the baseball.
Ball 2 to Elvis. What about hitting? Is it tougher to pick up the ball?
It's tough. It is tough. You see the eye drop out, or the wall out there in center field. It's ivy, but it's still kind of tinted brown a little bit just from the sun shining off of it. And it's tough. I always went back and forth on whether I was going to use glasses to hit in. And it was very difficult for me to use glasses to hit in. So I just had to try and brave it as much as possible. But this is a very difficult backdrop to see.
Elvis Andrews doing a good job of getting ahead of the count. It's now 3 balls and a strike. Elvis trying to get aboard in front of Prince Fielder. Rodon back to the plate and deals a strike to fill the count.
You can see now a lot of guys are using glasses to hit in, and they normally don't. Elvis is one of those guys.
And ball 4. Well, apparently the glasses helped him pick up that pitch. He didn't offer it anything out of the strike zone. Well, the Rangers get a walk, something they did not do until the 9th inning of last night's ball game when SHIN-SOO CHOO walked with 1 out to begin that comeback. Rangers had been shut down thoroughly by Chris Sale through 8 innings, no walks, and 14 strikeouts with just 2 hits. And the Rangers put 2 hits, 2 walks together for a couple of runs to win it in their last at bat. Prince Fielder drew a big walk in that 9th inning, an intentional walk that set up a bases loaded situation for Mitch Moreland to pinch hit. And Mitch, of course, came through with that 2-run single. Prince now back to second in the American League, batting average-wise. Takes that pitch outside. Miguel Cabrera just a point better than Fielder. Prince, as you saw, a .344 average. 299 career home runs. Rodon a check of first. The pitch is a check swing strike. 2-1. Fielder, the team leader, with both 11 home runs and 47 runs driven in. Our Fox tracker showing you that last pitch, pretty tough spot. Now 2-2.
See, we're not going with that breaking ball. That's a tough pitch to lay off of for a left-hander. And I don't know why this is, but it seems to me, Buzz, that break coming from a left-hander is much more severe than when you see a right-hander throw it to a right-handed right-handed hitter.
I think for the most part, you're right, Mac. Left-hand. First of all, left-handers don't see as many of them from a left-handed pitcher, and right-handed hitters see all the time. So they handle it a little bit better overall. You find a left-hander though, it's got a good hard breaking ball, and left-handers like that just really have a tough time with it when they can get it away. And Rodon did that. The French fielder for the second out.
Rodon's definitely got a game plan against Prince, not to give him anything out over the middle of the plate. And you see where he focused his attention down and away. Got every pitch in that area. So they're being very careful with Prince.
Now the hero of last night's ball game offensively, it is Mitch Moreland stepping in. Mitch with that big 2-run single. And he has just gone completely crazy of late. He's hit in 12 of 13 games. That average, a 340 in that span. He's in the month of June, 3rd in the American League with 15 RBI. And he's 14th in the average with 333 mark. Tailing fastball that just caught the bottom of the strike zone. Mitch kind of a quick look back at Phil Cuzzy. 0-2.
A lot of it might be, just the backdrop that we talked about. Just seeing in the daytime here. It's not an easy thing to do.
Rodon with the 0-2 pitch.
Buzz, and I'm not sure how many people are aware, but baseballs are not white. They're white when they're brand new out of the box.
Right.
But they get rubbed up with dirt, mud, water. There's a mix that you use, and by the time it gets out there ready to be game ready, it's brown. It's not completely white, so it makes it difficult to see. You look at the sky, the hazy sky, and there it is.
And Mitch Moreland gone on a strike, so Rodon back-to-back strikeouts. A fielder and Moreland. Rangers can't do anything with the walker. Half an inning in the books. Rangers nothing. White Sox coming up. Well, the Rangers get a walk but do not score in the top of the first. Now Mac is going to tell you about the Amica starting lineup for the White Sox.
Leading off for the White Sox, Adam Eaton batting second. Avisail Garcia. Jose Abreu will bat third. Adam LaRoche will be the cleanup hitter. Melky Cabrera will hit fifth. Alexi Ramirez will hit sixth. Conor Gillaspie will hit seventh. Tyler Flowers will hit eighth. And Carlos Sanchez will bat ninth.
No, Adam Eaton leading things off against Nick Martinez. The 24-year-old right-hander deals strike one. Our progressive scouting report for Nick. Getting back, he has been getting back to being aggressive in the strike zone and looking to improve his command with his fastball a bit, especially working inside to right-handers primarily, but also left-handers. You've kind of gotten away from being able to command the 6 inches off the plate inside to the hitter, and that was a strong suit of Nick Martinez. When he got off to a great start in April, he was able to do that almost at will. And that's the kind of thing that can come and go a little bit for a pitcher. It's just like command overall. But Nick trying to get back in that. Working to eat, and there's that good fastball inside. Does a lot to a hitter just to make him adjust his eyesight, adjust his body positioning a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. You don't have to come in there for a strike. You're really not trying to. You're just trying to open up that outside part of the plate and give that hitter, something else to think about. Hey, where's he going to throw it? Is he going to come inside? Is he going to go outside? What is the pitch going to be and where? So I love when pitchers are able to go in off the plate and not for a strike.
It has to do with a hitter's feeling of comfort too, doesn't it, Mac?
Oh, absolutely.
Comfort at the plate.
Absolutely. I was a hitter, obviously. I didn't like seeing other hitters be comfortable in the batter's box. I always wanted my pitchers, hey, go inside. It's, get them off the plate, make them move their feet, make them think about it. You don't want that hitter to be in the batter's box thinking, hey, or not having to worry about getting hit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how big you are. You get hit in the right spot with the right pitch, it's going to hurt.
That baseball hurts.
Yeah, and as a hitter, you're going to remember that. So it keeps a lot of guys honest. It keeps them from diving out over the plate, going after that breaking ball away, that slider or something on the outside part of the plate. It keeps them honest.
Another 2-2 pitch, and that slow breaking ball hangs high. So Eaton trying to get aboard to start off the first inning. But Isael Garcia is waiting to be next. Well, I always thought no matter what, a hitter can go 0 for 4 against me or 4 for 4. I didn't want him to be comfortable doing it.
Right.
I just didn't want him having a good idea of what I was going to do and being dead sure in his mind what he could do against me. Payoff pitch from Nick. That's lined to left field. That is a base hit in front of Brian Rua. Eaton able to get aboard with the leadoff single. And now let's take a look at the Rangers defense. It's delivered to you this afternoon by Break Check. Saw Ryan Rua in left field. Leonis Martin in center. Shin-Soo Choo is in right. Infield, Mitch Moreland back at first base. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Adam Rosales gets the start at third here this afternoon, and Carlos Corporan is catching. He's on an 8-pitch at bat for Adam Eaton. He starts things off by singling to left field. And now here's Garcia, who moved up from the 5th spot last night to the 2nd slot in Robin Ventura's order today. I think Ventura doing all he possibly can to get some guys at the top of the order to get on base. White Sox just have had not consistent output in front of your run producers, Jose Abreu and Adam LaRoche.
Yeah, it's been difficult. And typically when you move a guy into that 2nd slot, you're trying to get him going. You're putting him in front of your best hitter on the team, which is Abreu for the White Sox. So you're going to get that guy in that role is going to get some pitches to hit, typically fastballs, because you don't want anybody on or many guys on in front of your best hitter.
And Garcia qualifies as being in a pretty good slump. Last 16 ball games, he's hit just 140. Reaches out and lines it to left. Ryan Rua saw it all the way. That's out number 1. A good pitch from Nick Martinez to get Garcia out on his front foot. And a soft line drive to left for the first down. Now Jose Abreu will come up.
Yeah, they try to go down and away. Nice breaking ball. A lot of break. Got Garcia way out in front of it. All he could do was just poke it out to left field. He had somebody there.
No, 1 on, 1 out. Abreu, a .286 average, steps to home plate. Had a 2-hit game last night. Went 2 for 4. Takes strike 1 from Nick Martinez. Abreu, one of the few White Sox that qualifies as being hot. He's hit .305 in his last 21 games. He's driven in 17. Primarily responsible for the offensive production that the White Sox have had. Abreu, of course, coming out of Cuba to join Robin Ventura's White Sox last year. has put up some outstanding numbers in his year and a third at the big league level. 1 ball, 1 strike. And he was the Rookie of the Year in the American League last year. And, his statistics rank up among major league leaders over the last year plus. He's 4th in slugging percentage, 5th in total bases, 6th in RBI and home runs.
You know, this is a guy that they counted on a lot last year. Last year being Konerko's last year. They weren't sure, but they had a pretty good idea this would be a pretty good hitter, and he definitely did not disappoint.
Quick move by Nick. And, Eaton trying to get a fairly substantial lead at first with a right-hander up there. One ball and 1 strike the count. That pitch is in the dirt. It gets away from Corcoran. Second is Eaton. He's going for 3, and Corcoran couldn't find the ball initially, and that's going to be a 2-base wild pitch. Corcoran couldn't locate it, and Eaton, seeing that going to second, just kept right on going.
Eaton made a good read. The ball bounced up high. Corby couldn't really see it. Nick finally got his attention and told him where the ball was, but it's so deep back here behind home plate. The ball gets back there. It's not very hard for a guy with Eaton speed to go first to third.
Oh, now with 1 out and Eaton at third base, Rangers pull the infield all the way in with ABREU at the plate, and boy, that makes him a very tough hitter. Got him on the fist, and he's going to get away with it as Rosales throws out ABREU. Good pitch by Nick Martinez. There's that fastball running in on a right-handed hitter off the plate, and a little weak ground ball was the result.
Wow, great pitching by Martinez. Knew exactly what he needed to do. You see Corby setting up inside. There's that tailing fastball. Runs way in off the plate. At 6 inches you talked about, Buzz.
Yep.
ABREU went for it, broke his bat, kept the ball in the infield.
So now with 2 outs, Adam LaRoche comes up, and the Rangers go into an extreme overshift. Adam Eaton still at third. Rougned Odor way out in right field. He has to use hand signals or smoke signals to get everybody's attention out there. And the ball gets away from Corcoran just momentarily, but Eaton staying at third. 1 ball, no strikes. Odor out there. I'm not sure there's any wireless service out there where he is.
Doesn't look like it. He's playing Rover today.
LaRoche, a .227 average. He has 8 home runs and has driven in 24. Martinez trying to work around a single and a 2-base wild pitch. This is outside, 2-0. Adam LaRoche, the veteran left-handed presence in the White Sox lineup. He's just a 143 hitter over his last 10 ball games. Now 3-0. So Nick being careful with LaRoche, even though you've got a pretty good hitter in the on-deck circle. Melky Cabrera will follow. But Nick making sure that he doesn't give in to LaRoche. And the pitch low, ball 4. A semi-intentional walk, or at least once he got to 2-0.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's maturity on Nick's part as well. Saying, hey, there's certain guys, I may match up better against in certain situations. You create a force in this instance here. Now, Melky Cabrera is not a bad hitter by any means. He's a very good hitter, but you have more options and more opportunities with Melky Cabrera up there in this instance.
Yeah, and I'm sure you talk about going over a team before you play against them. You pick out 1 or 2 guys who you will not allow to beat you at any time in the ball game, and I think LaRoche would fit in there along with Jose Abreu. 1 ball, no strikes to Melky Cabrera, who's hitting at .238. Just 1 home run, but he has 23 driven in. Switch hitter, much better from the left side. Rangers play him just about straight away, maybe a step to the right. as he takes the off-speed pitch in for strike one. See Elvis shading just barely up the middle, and Rougned Odor a similar step to his left on the right side of the infield. Now Martinez with a 1-1 pitch. With that high fastball, we saw Colby Lewis do that with good effect last night to Cabrera. Run up that ladder, and Cabrera had difficulty both laying off of it and getting on top of it.
Yeah, well, there are certain hitters, you know what their weaknesses are, and you definitely know what their strengths are. And you want, as a pitcher, I think you want to pitch to your strengths, obviously. But there are certain situations, you know what a hitter cannot hit. You try and make that pitch.
The pitch in the dirt. Cabrera thought he got hit by it. And Phil Cousins, the home plate umpire, saying no, don't believe he got hit. And they're going to, Robin Ventura is going to come out and ask Phil Cousins. Ventura was pretty sure he got hit too.
I think everybody was pretty sure he got hit. Watch Corby get up and
it was pretty tough to tell from that angle. Can't see whether the ball was really deflected or not. And Ventura, it is a reviewable play whether or not a hitter was hit by a pitch. And Phil Cousins is going to discuss it. Jerry Davis, the crew chief, the umpire down at first, is going to come over. And they check with the third base umpire, Will Little. He didn't offer any assistance, so they're going to get the headsets on and check with the replay command center in New York. Now again, there has to be clear and convincing evidence to the umpire that's in charge of watching replays in New York for this ball game that the call was incorrect. And the call was not hit by a pitch, or no hit by pitch, just a pitch in the dirt.
Well, one thing I know, they've got more angles than what we've been able to see here, so they can make a pretty good decision whether it was hit by a pitch or not.
Jerry Davis, the crew chief, with those headsets on, and Phil Cousins, the home plate umpire, the one who made the call. Two skippers, Jeff Bannister and Robin Ventura, will wait along with the rest of us to see what the decision is from New York. We understand that, at least statistically, whether or not a batter was hit by a pitch is the least overturned call as far as replay reviews are concerned.
It's tough to explain.
Well, pretty tough to see. Unless most of the time hit by pitch are pretty obvious. Yeah, the guy gets plunked, the ball drops straight down, and he goes to first. But like this last one, it's real tough to get an angle that will show you conclusively whether the ball just barely nipped him or not.
Yeah, I think it's tougher, the lower it is in the zone, around the foot area, somewhere around there. That could be very difficult to see whether it's going to hit the ground or what made it change direction. That's typically what I look for, if a guy got hit or not. Change of direction and the hitter's response.
Right.
That tells you a lot. But then, you also know the guys who wanted to be actors but chose to play baseball.
Yeah, who start screaming and hopping around when the ball's halfway to home plate.
There were some guys that would scream on pitches thrown inside and didn't hit them.
It kind of backs up what we're saying about the amount of time that they're taking to analyze this back in New York, about how difficult it is to really get a good angle there. I mean, they're looking at probably 10 or 12 different angles back there to see if they can find one that is conclusive one way or the other, and it's pretty difficult to do. The expanded role of replay this year, the hit by pitch was part of the original grouping of plays that were eligible for review starting last year. But the expanded role this year, and for the most part, I think it's received pretty high marks from the managers and the teams in general. pretty happy with the way things have worked out. Some of the replay reviews like this one taking a little bit too long for everybody's liking. And they're going to say he was hit by a pitch. Well, the call is overturned back in New York. White Sox challenge is upheld, and that will load the bases with 2 outs. Mike Maddox now going to go out and have a little chat with Nick Martinez.
Well, I know Bannister's not happy about the amount of time that it took, because that whole time Nick Martinez is out there, throwing warm-up pitches.
Right.
But, as a pitcher, Buzz, what does that do when you've got that long delay, even though you're able to throw?
Yeah, it's not the same as gearing up to face a batter. You face, in Nick's case, you face 5 hitters already, and now all of a sudden you're asked to shut it down for 3 or 4 minutes. And you lose whatever edge you might have had. Now, in Nick's case, it might have given him an opportunity to get over the fact that, hey, I made a pitch I didn't want to against CABRERA, and it cost me a base. So from that standpoint, it might help you mentally, but physically, it gets you out of your rhythm a little bit. Well, bases loaded. Alexei Ramirez is the shortstop. He's going to take ball 1, low and outside. And, we heard Nick Martinez talk to Emily Jones about one of the things that he's really tried to do lately is work in a little quicker pace to keep that momentum going, if you will, of being able to get the ball, throw the ball, get it back, and throw it again, so that your mechanics stay sharp and your mind stays sharp. This one popped up by Ramirez back behind home plate, but it's going to be back into the seats. 1 ball and 1 strike. That challenge review, by the way, took 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow. It's one of the longer ones, isn't it?
Yeah. Most of the reviews have taken in the neighborhood of a minute 15, a minute 25, somewhere in there. Nick Martinez getting set for his 25th pitch here in the first inning, and it's low and outside, 2 balls and a strike. Nick has given up a base hit, a walk, and had a hit batter, along with getting a couple of outs in the first, trying to keep this a scoreless ball game in this first inning. Similar to what Nick Martinez had to endure his last time out. Had a high pitch count in the first inning, then was able to settle down very nicely. Nick okays the sign. 2-1 pitch. Right back to him, and he had to kind of play it off to the side, a little squibber. And Alexei Ramirez is thrown out. Bases remain loaded at the end of the half inning. A hit, a walk, and a hit batter. No score after 1. Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Visit TexasRangers.com/vote and vote for the Rangers as your favorite or second favorite team. You'll get an offer for 50% off select games in August or September. Send Prince Fielder, Mitch Moreland, and Adrian Beltre to the All-Star game. But hurry, voting closes on July 2nd. A scoreless ball game. We head to the top of the second. Ryan Arua, Adam Rosales, and Leonis Martin to face Carlos Rodon. Ryan back off the 60-day DL last night. Took an offer, but happy to be back in the major leagues after a lengthy recuperation from that heel surgery. Hits this one sharply, but on 2 hops. Sanchez able to knock it down. 1 gone. Next will be Adam Rosales.
Brewer had a tough night last night, but like I said, he's been on the disabled list for 60 days, so getting back and seeing Major League pitching for the first time, and not just Major League pitching, but probably one of the best Major League pitchers.
Yeah.
Tough night.
Yeah, that's not just any Major League pitcher out there last night. Chris Sale is, well, the way he's going right now, you can make a case where he's one of the best of all time. He is really throwing the ball well. And Adam, I'll tell you how well. Adam Rosales didn't have any luck against him last night. Well, he must be tuning it because Rosales hit him like he owned him. Adam at 235. Rodon back to the plate, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Rosales more home runs in his career against the White Sox than any other team. He has 5 of them. 3-0. Well, the Rangers had a 1-out walk in the first. Elvis Andrus got aboard. They couldn't do anything with it. Adam Rosales trying to do the same here in the second. Leonis Martin will follow in the batting order. And ball 4. A 4-pitch walk. Rosales hustles on down to first. Rodon not exactly jumping out in front of guys. He's gone 2-0 now on 3 of the 6 hitters that he's faced. That one point we made about Carlos before the game about Ranger hitters need to be a little patient early to make sure that he's going to be in the strike zone. Don't help him out by chasing early. They've done a pretty good job of doing that.
That's part of it. A guy, falls behind a lot early. You want to make him work a little bit. Don't just go up there and swing at the first pitch. Unless it's something, you're a middle of the order guy and hey, this is something I can drive.
Right.
Absolutely. But if you're not, make him work a little bit.
And Leonis Martin eyes a fastball knee-high outside corner. Leonis really struggling of late. 0 for his last 17 times to the plate. Martin even back over a little bit of a longer sample in the last 9 ball games. He's hit just 138. He's gone 4 for 29. 1 on, 1 out. Rosales at first. Rodon with the 0-1. Leonis had that wrist injury, if you remember, down in Houston the first week of May. And although he didn't spend any time on the disabled list since then, it's been pretty erratic. He has been concerned about that wrist. He said it's still sore. And bothers him when he bangs it on anything, a wall, a bedside table. Said it can wake him up at night.
It's a rough sleeper.
Yeah, apparently.
Tell him not to do that.
You get those scary dreams when you're thrashing all over the place. Swing and a miss.
How many guys were seeing Sale last night?
That would give you a nightmare. Yeah.
Especially from the left side.
And today, not going to make any excuses certainly for the Rangers, but after a tough travel day, getting here at 7 o'clock in the morning yesterday, playing last night, today usually is a tougher day, I think, for guys to recuperate. Sox turn it over, and they get Martin on the backside. 6-4-3, nice job by Carlos Sanchez to complete that double play. And Jeff Bannister is saying, let's hold up a second. I'm not so sure that Leonis Martin was out on the back end of that. Jeff checking with Steve Buechele, who's on the phone to Joey Probinski up in the replay room for the Rangers. You can judge for yourself. And they may have a case.
They just might.
Jeff still looking into Steve Buechele. and they're going to challenge it. So I think it's worth a challenge here to try and get a base runner in the second inning. Joey Peruski sending down his opinion to Steve Buechele, and Boo relaying it to Jeff Manister. So the second replay challenge issued in this ball game. The first one on the hit batter, what was eventually a hit batter, Melky Cabrera, in the first inning. That was overturned, and now the appeal on the play at first base to back into that double play.
And it's tough. It's tough for any hitter to get out of the box when you get jammed. And that was definitely the case for Martin, but he got down the line as quickly as he could. I think he might have made it just barely. But it makes it tougher when you get jammed, whether it's left-handed or right-handed.
And Martin making as close as he possibly could, hitting the front part of that bag. And Mac, how many times have you seen a guy not space his steps out properly and hit the backside or the middle of the bag and lose that bang play?
Yeah, it's a game of inches. You've got to do everything you can possibly do to beat the play out, but also, if you can, to deceive the umpire. But now with instant replay, I think that kind of eliminates a little bit. But you see Martin reaching for that bag, hits the front portion of it. That's where you got to do it. Where you got to hit the bag. The way you are able to time that every time down the line is you pick up that bag as soon as you start running toward first base. You can't watch the fielder. You can't look at anything else but pick up that target, and your feet get into line with that bag somehow, some way. And if they don't, then you just have to shuffle as opposed to jump for the bag. When you start to jump for the bag, that's when all kinds of things go wrong. You could land on it awkwardly, twist your ankle, your knee. You could land on the first baseman's foot and hurt yourself and him. You can hit the top of the bag and roll over the backside of it. So you want to pick up that bag as quickly as you possibly can and get the front part of it.
Phil Cussy, the home plate umpire, and Jerry Davis, the crew chief and first base umpire, with the headsets on, checking in with Replay Command Center in New York. We've had a couple of conversations now in the last half and full inning. Now they've gotten a decision rendered here. We'll see what it is. Out at first base, so the call is upheld from the standpoint of nothing visually to overturn that call. So that'll do it. The double play ends the Rangers' second. After 1.5, we are scoreless in Chicago. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. Well, that challenge call was confirmed by the replay official in New York at the replay command center. Just for folks who might be curious about that. So the Rangers out of challenges now. They will not have one for the rest of the ball game. And Nick Martinez will go to work against the bottom third of the White Sox order here in the second. Conor Gillaspie to start things off. Gillaspie steps in, a .244 hitter with 3 home runs for the year, and he takes a little bit high for ball one. Gillaspie with 14 RBI. White Sox had a hit, a walk, and a hit batter in the first inning against Nick Martinez and left the bases full. I mentioned Nick last time out had a tough first inning pitch count wise, just like he did in the first here as Gillaspie singles to center field to start things off. Last time out, he threw 27 pitches in the first inning and then came back to throw only 34 in the next 3 completed to get himself back on track. Ended up with a no decision against the Twins at home on the 14th of the month.
That seems like about 10 days ago, the whole rotation went out 4, 5, 6 days in a row and had a sketchy first inning, but then were able to settle things back down after that.
And just to keep things accurate, as you understand now that the replay challenge, the call stands. It was not confirmed. It stands, which means there wasn't conclusive evidence one way or the other to disprove the call or to prove it up. There's a double play ground ball to Odor. Elvis turns it over at second, and the Rangers return the favor. 4-6-3. That erases Conor Gillaspie, who singled to open the inning. 2 gone for Carlos Sanchez. Let's go to our Kubota Power Stats. Speaking of Nick Martinez here this afternoon. Last 11 road starts, he's been good. How about 6-1 with a .254 ERA? Opponents hitting just .227 against him. 2 or fewer runs in 9 of those 11 starts. That is pretty consistent for the young man.
That's pretty good. Get a guy going on the road and pitching that well, not giving up a lot of runs. Have some trouble here and there, but able to work himself out of it like we saw in the first inning. And so far here in the second inning, the first guy got on, gets a double play ball. That first inning, you had ABREU up, the infield in, a runner on third base, less than 2 outs, got out of that jam as well. So I like what Martinez has been able to do, and those numbers speak for themselves.
And Nick, who really hadn't pitched as a starting pitcher in his amateur career at Fordham University or even going back to high school. Not a lot of experience starting when he came into the major leagues. And he has adapted pretty well. He gets the out here as Carlos Sanchez flies to center. No runs a hit, nobody left. After 2, still scoreless in Chicago. has another great offer in it for you. For a limited time, your $5 tickets are available for the game against the Angels on Sunday, July 5th. Just head to TexasRangers.com/treasure test to buy those tickets, but hurry because this offer expires at 5 p.m. on Monday. So do not dilly-dally. Carlos Corporan to begin things for the Rangers here in the third. A scoreless ball game. It'll be Corporan, Odor, and SHIN-SOO CHOO to face Carlos Rodon. Rodon has not given up a hit. He has walked a couple. Rangers have not been able to do anything with the walkers as Corporan takes ball one. Haven't seen a single Ranger swing at the first pitch today off Rodon.
Looks like that patience game plan is working out.
1-0 pitch. 1-1. On the other hand, when he swung at the second pitch, they haven't had a lot of success putting him in play either. He's got good stuff. Carlos 0 for his last 11 trips to the plate. 169 batting average. And he lines one into left. That is in for a base hit. CABRERA over to cut it off, and Corporan will hang on. The first base hit for the Rangers this afternoon. A leadoff single has Carlos aboard to start the third. Rougned Odor coming up. Before we see Rougned, let's send it back to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. Rougned Odor batting in the number 9 slot. And he takes strike one. Rougned, a 178 average. Pinch hit last night. That snapped his 3-game hitting streak. He had hit in all 3 games, hit safely in all 3 games since rejoining the Rangers. Last night in a pitch hitting assignment, took an over, popped out. Back in there in the starting lineup today against a tough left-hander and Carlos Rodon. Corporan at first base. First time the Rangers have had a leadoff man aboard in either of these 2 games. Certainly Chris Sale didn't allow much last night, just 2 base hits. Even in the 9th inning last night, the Rangers had to wait until one was out to get the whole thing started. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. Well, Rougned looks to be much more under control of the thought process of his approach at home plate. That's a nice change to see, isn't it, Mac?
It really is. And, we talk about this a lot. We have over the last few years about slowing the game down. And you could see that first month, things were just going really, really fast for Rougned. And now, since he's been back, he's just a lot calmer. Now, the intensity's up. There's a fine line between intensity and then playing out of control. And right now, his intensity is up, but he's under control, and he's got everything slowed down tremendously. A huge difference from when he was here earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between going to a fire to fight it and playing with a guy like your hair's on fire. That's a little bit outside, and the count now is full. So Odor trying to get aboard to join Carlos Corporan. The top of the order, SHIN-SOO CHOO waiting to be next. .38 pitches for Rodon as he gets ready. Payoff pitch and skied to right center field. Hit pretty well, but it's playable for Eaton. That's out number 1 with Corporan going back to first. And it will take the Rangers back to the top of the order. SHIN-SOO CHOO, a ground ball to first as he let things off today. CHOO again handling the leadoff chores. It looks like he's pretty much going to be the guy up there until Delino DeShields gets back and he's ready to get back into the lineup.
Yeah, I just think that's the logical choice. CHOO's done it the longest and probably the best, as a matter of fact. So he feels very comfortable there. He knows what his job is, get on base any way he can. He does that by either walking or getting a hit. So great choice to be in that leadoff spot.
And CHOO has produced from that spot this year. This is 22nd start as the leadoff hitter this year, and he's hit .286 in his previous 21 ball games. 1 on, 1 out, and a 1-1 count. Rodon, who really doesn't hold runners very well. He's a little bit slow delivering the ball to home plate, although with Carlos Corcoran at first, probably doesn't make much difference. But you might look for that if the Rangers get into an opportunity where a stolen base is in order. Back to Rodon, the second. The return to first in time, and that's the second inning-ending double play turned by the White Sox this afternoon. A hit, but nobody left after 2.5. Rangers nothing, White Sox nothing.
Chicago, still no score, and I have made my way to one of the more interesting posts in this ballpark. It's a very unique view, and it's called the Bullpen Bar, and that's because it is butted up directly next to the Rangers bullpen. We are here in right field. You can take in the game, look at it through the chain link fence, have a couple of beverages, maybe some food, and get a pretty unique view of SHIN-SOO, CHOO, and then of course of the Rangers bullpen. See if Anthony Bass will give me a wave over there. No, he's not waving. Anthony, how's it going? Hey, Anthony. No. Oh, I got a wave. I got a wave from Anthony Bass in the Rangers bullpen. So a really cool setup out here at the Bullpen Bar out in right field. I'm going to stay here for maybe just a couple innings. I'll catch you guys in about the 5th, okay?
All right, take it easy out there.
Yeah, make sure and right. Bottom of the 3rd inning, Nick Martinez back out to start things against the top of the order for the White Sox. Adam Eaton opened up the game by singling to left field. And Nick missing outside. The count is 2-0. Eaton a .245 average after that first inning single. 2-1 now. White Sox with 2 hits. They've had 1 in each of the first 2 innings. Rangers with just 1 hit. Carlos Corcoran's leadoff single in the 3rd. Only time that they have had a safety against Carlos Rodon. And strike 2 is called at the knees. Eaton saying something to Phil Cuzzy, and I don't think he was asking him about his dinner plans. Wasn't real thrilled with that last call. Nick staying right on top of the pitching rubber, getting the sign. And misses high and tight. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Same count that Adam Eaton had in the first when he singled. Eaton trying to get aboard. Misael Garcia will follow. Payoff pitch from Nick. Same result as the first time. This one through the hole on the left side. a 1-on, nobody out. Well, folks, on Monday, our coverage of the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues. Alex Morgan, Abby Wambach, Megan Rapinoe, and Team USA continue their quest for a third title. The round of 16 begins when they take on Colombia in a winner-go-home matchup for both teams. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on Fox Sports 1, and catch the whole tournament streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 1-on, nobody out, and a looping drive by Garcia to right for a base hit. Eaton had a bluff to move toward third and stays at second as CHO got to the ball quickly. So back-to-back singles open up the White Sox third against Nick Martinez. 2-on, nobody out for Jose Abreu.
It's like the move to the 2-slot. Garcia is working out pretty good. He's getting the fastballs to hit. Got that one right there. Jumped on the first one from Nick. Right field.
The first time up, Jose Abreu came to the plate. Adam Eaton was at first, and then Eaton advanced all the way to third on a wild pitch. Abreu, with 1 out, had a perfect run producing opportunity, but got jammed and hit a ground ball to third. Did not get the run home. Now he's got runners at first and second and nobody out. And this is a guy that really is depended upon by the White Sox to come through in situations like this, and he takes strike one. Abreu, a .305 hitter with 17 RBI in his last 21 ball games. Got Eaton out at second base, Garcia at first. And Nick again coming inside, got that pitch in on his fist. 0-2. This year, Abreu a .340 hitter with 27 of his 40 RBI. Runners in scoring position situations. He also has banged into 11 double plays. That's the second most in the American League. 1-2 now. Ranger infield a couple of steps around to the left. Rougned Odor, the second baseman, playing just a few feet from the bag. Base hit to right. Eaton had to hold up to make sure the ball was going to go through. He stops at third. And 3 consecutive hits greet Nick Martinez here in the third inning. The bases are loaded with nobody out, and Adam LaRoche coming up. It looked like the White Sox approach against Nick Martinez had completely changed in this inning. Everybody taking the ball the other way.
Yeah, you're right, bud. Eaton took that fastball, reaching fastball to left field. The next two hitters, Garcia and Abreu, taking the pitch to right field the other way. Not trying to do too much with it, not trying to pull it. Just hit it where it's pitched and hit it hard. And that's exactly what they've done for 3 singles in a row.
Well, here's LaRoche with the bases full of White Sox teammates. Rangers will play the infield back. See if they can get a double play. They will exchange the run for 2 outs if they possibly can. And the first pitch is a changeup that's wide. LaRoche drew a walk in the first inning. LaRoche 1 out of 4 in last night's game. And he takes ball 2 that's low. Well, Nick working himself into a big hole now. Got the bases full, nobody out. He's fallen behind in the count to Adam LaRoche. He was a very solid hitter. Left field, Rua will make the catch. Tagging at third, Adam Eaton. He scores. Going to third is Garcia. He is in with a slide. The White Sox jump on top 1-0 on the sacrifice fly by Adam LaRoche.
Again, the White Sox taking the ball where it's pitched, going away with it. Abreu stays at first base, but LaRoche got a pitch down and away. He threw it where he wanted to. LaRoche got the bat on it, hit it deep enough out to Rua out in left field to score him and have Garcia get to third.
So now runners at the corners. The double play is still in order. As ABREU staying at first. MELKY CABRERA, who was hit by a pitch his first time, will come to the plate. CABRERA with that .238 average. Nick Martinez with the first pitch to him. And that is wide for ball one. CABRERA, a home run and 23 RBI this year. Here's the big slow breaking ball from Nick Martinez. Doesn't throw that all that much, but to a good left-handed hitter, you'll drop it in, especially early in the count. MELKY CABRERA facing Nick Martinez, and despite CABRERA's overall average of .238, he is starting to turn things around. The last 11 ball games, he has hit .300, and he is plunked again by a pitch from Nick Martinez. Well, that is going to load the bases one more time. CABRERA, for the second straight time, the pitch working down and in, and got it. And again, Mike Maddox headed out to the mound.
And Nick definitely trying to go with that game plan, trying to pitch down and in to CABRERA. Almost the same spot. Maybe in a little different spot there, but that's going to hurt. It's going to leave a mark for a few days.
Now, Nick Martinez, among the league leaders. As a matter of fact, he's leading the league in hit batters. 2 more today. It's 11 for the year now for Nick Martinez. Earlier in the year was his effort to try and get the ball inside. The ball get away from him a bit, especially the right-handers that he plunked people in. He's hit CABRERA with a couple of breaking pitches here. A little unusual. Well, the bases are refilled. And with one out now, Alexi Ramirez will come to the plate. Ramirez in a bases loaded 2-out situation in the first inning. Tapped right back to the box. Ramirez takes strike one. Understand that's the first time that MELKY CABRERA has ever been hit by a pitch twice in the same game. 0-1 to Ramirez. 1 ball and 1 strike. Alexei with a couple of home runs, 24 RBI. Nick, after a long look, comes set. And hits the outside corner, 1-2.
Here's the effectiveness of that fastball inside off the plate, those 6 inches. Nick being able to go right back out to the outside part of the plate for a strike.
Carlos Corporan flashing the signs. Our Fox tracker showing you the very pinpoint accuracy of Nick Martinez. Double play ground ball. Elvis has it go off his glove into center field. Garcia scores. ABREU scores. On to third base goes CABRERA, and the White Sox lead 3-0. Elvis looked like he had that totally under control and was as surprised as anybody the ball didn't go into his glove.
Yeah, Elvis was right there. Looked like he was going to catch it, just do a glove flip, and he just never caught it. Perfect ground ball double play. He's about ready to do the glove flip, but just never caught it. Went off the top of his glove. Right there at the end, just missed it. That's one of those there. I know he's kicking himself. That's gets you out of that inning there. And a play that he'll make 10 out of 10 times typically, but not on that one.
Elvis looking at his glove like his glove betrayed him. I think developed a hole in it. Well, the Rangers, who had gone 8 consecutive games without an error prior to last night, just had a throwing error from Joey Gallo last night, and this afternoon that is a huge mistake. Now first ball swinging, Conor Gillespie. It's a towering pop-up. Elvis Andrus makes the catch, and everybody stays put. Runners at first and third. That is out number 2. No, two gone, and Tyler Flowers will come up. Flowers grounded into a 4-6-3 double play in the second inning. White Sox with 3 runs across here in the third. 2 outs. And Carlos Corcoran going to go through the defensive assignment list for everybody in the middle of the infield. That's a pretty good speed on the base paths at first base, and Alexi Ramirez for the White Sox. Big slow breaking ball, and Flowers fouls it off for strike 1. Nick Martinez, who had 27 pitches in the first inning, only 7 in the second. Now back up to 22 here in the third inning. The double play that wasn't turned is going to cost him maybe 10 pitchers or so if he can get Tyler Flowers. Pitch fouled off, 0-2 the count.
Yeah, it's tough to win a ball game when you're giving the opposition 28, 29 outs to work with. It's already tough enough when they're allotted 27.
That's pretty much a recipe for getting a team that's not scoring on the board more frequently too, isn't it?
It really is.
And that fastball hits Flowers. The 0-2 pitch, and Tyler Flowers takes it off the left shoulder. Corcoran talking to Flowers and reassuring him that nothing personal, just business. And that's going to reload the bases.
Yeah, that's tough. Nick trying to go inside. Doesn't have his best command today. Doesn't have his best stuff. So 0-2 wants to go inside. Hit Flowers off the plate a little bit. Just went in just a little bit too far.
No, again, bases loaded. This time Carlos Sanchez, the number 9 hitter, comes up. Sanchez flied to center field in the second inning. That's out of play to the left for strike 1. Sanchez, the young second baseman, a switch hitter. Really struggling. Last 27 ball games, he's hit 118. That came on the heels of having a game-winning hit against the Cleveland Indians back on the 18th of May, a little over a month ago. Martinez with the advantage in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Nick okays the sign, working from the stretch. Still 0-2. And pulled foul by Sanchez. Carlos Sanchez, just 22 years of age, about ready to turn 23 at the end of this month. Is from Venezuela, with the White Sox since he signed back in 2009. Martinez with another 0-2. Call strike 3. Nick finally able to end the third inning. 9 men to the plate. 3 of them score on 3 hits. There was 1 huge error and 3 left. 3-0 Sox after 3. Globe Life Park for a rare weekday matinee game on Thursday, June 25th. Come out to the ballpark early and enjoy a special wildlife education presentation from the Dallas Zoo. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or you can call 972 Rangers extension 3 for special pricing on groups of 20 or more. Now, Elvis Andrus to start things off. Rangers now find themselves in a 3-0 hole. Go to the top of the fourth inning. Elvis drew a walk in the first inning. Facing Carlos Rodon, who has been gifted 3 runs. One of those runs, by the way, that the White Sox scored in that third inning was unearned. Elvis fouls back the next pitch. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Elvis's error is 13th of the year. And that's the first that he's committed in about 3.5 weeks of play.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He's definitely turned things around defensively. His first, month and a half, it's pretty tough. 11 errors in that span, 12 errors, and you don't really want to have that out of your shortstop.
Shot down to third, played nicely by GILLASPIE. 1 out. Next will be Prince Fielder. Back, I know you talked about Elvis getting in that, guys getting in a fielding slump. What do you do to work out of a fielding slump like that? How do you do it?
Well, when you're playing every day, it's difficult to come out and take ground balls, extra ground balls every day. You want to come out one day or every other day until you get that rhythm again and just work on your footwork. That's what I like to do, because typically when you get into that fielding slump and you lose your rhythm, it's because you start getting lazy with your feet. You can't have a good foundation without having good feet. That's where that foundation starts from. So a lot of times it is caused by your feet, whether the ball is clanking off your heel, off the tip of your glove, or you're catching the ball off to the side. It all starts with your feet. So you just come out and you work a little bit, try and break it down and just simplify things, get your body in the right position, and then go from there.
So it's like virtually everything. You work your way out of it and not just think your way out of it. Absolutely. Or pray your way out of it, if you will. Just pray that it changes.
You got to try everything you possibly can.
2-1 pitch to Fielder. The breaking ball from Rodon comes back in for a strike, and it's 2-2. Prince a strikeout the first time he faced the left-hander. Rodon okays the sign and throws strike 3. Prince got caught looking at that fastball from Rodon. Struck out on the slider the first time, and this time got caught with a fastball.
Rodon comes right down the middle with a fastball. Prince undoubtedly looking for something else.
So 2 outs here in the fourth inning. Mitch Moreland, who accepted the only other strikeout that Rodon has had this afternoon. Prince Fielder has 2 of them, and Mitch had the first inning one. Takes a big breaking ball that's in for strike 1. Breeze has freshened dramatically here at U.S. Cellular in the south side of Chicago. It's coming in from right field. Got the flags really whipping in. 15 to 20 miles an hour with higher gusts. You see the flags next to the exploding scoreboard out there in center field. Pitch all the way to the backstop. 2-1 the count.
And Comiskey's Cellular Field is unlike ballpark at home in Texas, where the flags, if they're whipping in, that ball's the air is whipping. It's not. There's no swirl here, so that ball is definitely coming in. If you hit something in right field, right center field, and it gets out of here right now, you've crushed it.
2-2 the count. Now, speaking of which, how about our Coors Light Cold Hard Fact? The first use of fireworks after a home run was way back on April 12, 1960. Bill Beck, the owner of the White Sox at that time, installed an exploding scoreboard at Old Comiskey Park. Bill Beck, an innovator in his years with the Cardinals and the White Sox. Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. I ran that thing out of fireworks one day. Pitching there.
We won't ask.
Yeah, no, I gave up 4 home runs in an inning, ran the guy out of fireworks. The guy that loads him up the fireworks, he was running around like a crazy man. They had the umpires call timeout before the next batter stepped in. He was afraid he wasn't going to be able to shoot the thing off.
You know, I really enjoyed that ballpark. Actually, I made my major league debut in Comiskey.
In Old Comiskey?
I did.
3-2 pitch, and Moreland takes strike 3. Dropped in the breaking ball. Rodon with his 4th strikeout. He's gotten Fielder and Moreland twice each. 3 up, 3 down, 3.5 in the books. White Sox 5-3. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. The folks out on Lake Michigan here this afternoon. Nice afternoon, a warm and now breezy afternoon, especially here in the south side of Chicago. And White Sox coming to bat in the 4th inning, top of the order once again. Adam Eaton starting things off, takes strike 1. Eaton now leading an inning off the 3rd time today. Led off the 1st, the 3rd, and now the 4th. Off speed is a bit outside. Eaton checking his swing. Adam with a pair of singles, both of them going to left field. He ended up scoring the first White Sox run last inning. He takes strike 2 from Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez now with 66 pitches this afternoon. Unfortunately, 44 of them have been from the stretch with runners on. Shallow center field. Jonas Martin ambling in. That is out number 1. The first time today that Nick Martinez retired the leadoff hitter. Well, folks, it's Safety Saturday. Be sure to follow us on Twitter to learn today's safety tip and have a chance to win a prize. Safety Saturday is brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation. Avisail Garcia, who is 1 for 2, steps in. Garcia had one of the 3 consecutive singles that opened up the 3rd inning for the White Sox against Nick. Garcia looking fastball, didn't get it. Got the breaking ball instead, and strike 1. Garcia, 276 average after his base hit last inning. Nick coming back, a pretty good fastball, and it's 0-2. Now Nick this time through the order looks like he's changing up his pattern a little bit. So far, the Eaton and Garcia have had a hard time picking him up.
Starting to go backwards on him. It's something a little different. You don't want to go up there, especially the third time through the order, that same pattern. You got to mix something up somewhere.
Off the end of the bat, that's going to wiggle off into foul territory. Now, what do you mean by backwards, Mac?
Well, if he starts him off with fastball the first couple of times up, that third time up, you want to change it and go the opposite way. So instead of throwing fastball, you throw a breaking ball, and you pitch him backwards from the time that you did those 2 previous at bats. If that's the sequence that you used.
Broken bat, humpback liner. Well, the bat went almost as far as the ball did. Elvis took care of the ball, and the bat flying by Adam Rosales into shallow left field. Third base umpire Will Little's going to have to go retrieve that. He's got pieces of bat all over the park.
Everywhere, and that's scary because as a fielder, you know, when you're looking at the ball, you may see the bat, you know, out of the corner of your eye, but you're really looking at the ball. And even though the ball went to shortstop, Rosie's looking at the ball, and he may see the bat and they're not really focused on the bat. So it could be very, very difficult to get out of the way of something like that. I've seen guys get hit by the bat where the ball actually went to another fielder because they're looking at that ball. Now, yeah, the ball was in close proximity to them, but, you know, so they're watching the ball, their focus is there, and they thought they had a play, and all of a sudden they get hit with, you know, a piece of the bat.
Yeah. The way bats are breaking now, that's a little dangerous. That it's not just a harmless piece of wood coming at you. It's got a sharp edge on it most of the time.
Right, and multiple pieces in some instances. And I don't remember ever seeing that. If a bat broke, you know, occasionally you'd have the head fly out there somewhere. But now you've got the head and the middle and the bottom part flying all over everywhere.
There's a hot shot over to Odor. He plays it nicely on one quick hop. And Nick Martinez has a very quick and tidy 1, 2, 3, 4th inning. We'll move on to the 5th in Chicago. White Sox 3, Rangers nothing.
Of 3-0, and maybe some encouraging news on the Adrian Beltre front. I spoke with him before the game. He is dying to get back onto the field, so he's still having problems with the pain in that ligament that's torn in his thumb. So he's going to try to modify his grip, and instead of having some distance between his hands, he's going to bring those hands together so when he follows through with the bat, it won't hurt so bad. Now, this is going to take some convincing with the coaching staff to allow him to change that grip and start swinging a bat, but he says he is making his pitch today and hopes to be swinging tomorrow with the modified grip. Then if all goes well, when it heals up, then he can move the grip back to normal. So fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. Adrian can be pretty persuasive, and he is dying to get back on the field, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. That's going to take a pretty good convincing job to get that done, I would think.
Well, I'm definitely not surprised that he's going to try.
Yeah, I'm not either.
do just about anything to get out there on that field every day.
Ryan Rua starting off the Ranger 5th inning. It'll be Rua, Rosales, and Martin. Ruin fouls it out of play to the right. 2 balls and a strike. Ryan, a ground ball to second. His first time up. Hit it pretty sharply. Rangers just 1 hit. That was a leadoff single by Carlos Corcoran in the 3rd inning. Now 2-2. Rodon has been a handful. White Sox, you look at them in the future. Rodon at 22 and Sale at 26 years of age. Got a pretty good couple of left-handers to build a rotation around.
That's not bad. Not bad at all.
Wide to third. Gillespie goes for it and goes off the end of his glove into left field. Looked like Connor Gillespie was playing in sand over there, trying to get his footing going, and slipped all over the place.
Wow. We'll take it.
That's going to be an infield single, well, an outfield single after it ticked off Gillespie's glove. Both of them.
You can't tell exactly what happened there. It looked like he had it under control, and then all of a sudden, right here it looks good, and then all of a sudden, well, it's like it just scooted on it. And it does look pretty sandy out there. Chicago's always been known for having one of the slowest infields, whether it be grass or the dirt.
Well, the Rangers, for the 2nd time this afternoon, have their leadoff man aboard via the base hit. Here's Adam Rosales. And that pitch gets away from Flowers. At second base is Rua, and he's going to stop there as Flowers gets to the ball quickly. Ryan had thoughts about doing exactly what Adam Eaton did earlier in the ball game, and that's advancing 2 bases on a wild pitch. He made an aggressive turn, but decided to hang on.
Yeah, I like the way Ryan did that. You see him get off here, he takes off, and he's running hard. He's already thinking third base, and the only thing that's going to stop him is if Flowers gets back there on the ball, which he did. So the 2 things that were working against him there: 1, not quite as fast as Eaton, and then 2, Flowers had an idea of where the ball went.
Now, for the first time today, the Rangers have a runner in scoring position. Rosales takes a strike to even things up at 1-1. Rosales drew a walk his first time up there. Was back in the 2nd. Rodon, a look back at Rua at 2nd. This is inside, 2-1. Adam, 2 out of 6 on this road trip. He's drawn a couple of walks too. Had the start the other night in Los Angeles. Started at second base. Today starting over at third. 2-2 the count. Mentioned Rosales with 5 home runs against the White Sox. Also 12 RBI. All of those numbers have come here at U.S. Cellular. He was a career .326 batter in this ballpark. 2-2 coming. Down the right field line, and it's slicing back into the crowd. Garcia over to take a look, but it's 6 or 7 rows deep. And we'll come back and try the 2-2 again. Overall, Rosales a .262 hitter against Chicago. Trying to pick up Ryan Rua. Rua at second base and nobody out here in the 5th inning. Got a good cut at that high fastball.
He wants that one back. Flowers trying to set up inside. Rodon got the pitch where he wanted. Rosie just missed it. Had a real good hack on it.
Another 2-2. And another foul ball. Well, the clouds are pretty well taken over. Sun not in evidence at all. That has to help a little bit, Mac, doesn't it, with the glare?
Oh, it helps a lot. It really takes away a lot of that glare. You don't have to squint as much, even though you've got those glasses on, but it definitely takes away a lot of the glare that's been going on.
Breaking ball laid off it. That was the 8th pitch of the at-bat. Well, Rosales having a very long at bat with Rua in scoring position. Adam trying to get aboard to join Rua. Leonis Martin, the Rangers center fielder, waiting to be next. A 3-0 Chicago lead here in the top of the fifth. Rangers trying to chip away at that lead. Carlos Rodon, the 22-year-old left-hander who was the first pick for the White Sox in the 2014 draft. And outside, ball 4. Third walk of the afternoon worked by Ranger hitters. Second time that Rosales has drawn the pass. 0-2 on, nobody out. Here's a chance for Leonis Martin to put himself in bunt mode, maybe a base hit. Working out of a sacrifice.
But I love watching Rosie get out there on that field and play this game. He gets down that first base line on a walk faster than some guys get down there when they hit the ball.
He is a ball of energy and enthusiasm. That's got to be infectious too, isn't it? That's catching for the rest of the guys.
I'd like to think so. I mean, you see a guy go out there that enjoys the game, loves playing the game, plays it hard, plays it with a smile on his face, has fun, and just plays it every single day. He plays it like it's his last game.
Leonis not bunting here, and he swings through that first Rodon offering. Strike 1. Well, Jeff Bannister electing to let Leonis take a hack at it. Martin in the 7th slot in the order, with Corcoran and Odor to follow. Skipper figured this is probably the best way to get the Rangers back in this ball game. He was showing bunt that time, and he takes outside.
He's got some room to work with Alexi Ramirez playing up the middle a little bit. He's got that right side of the infield, that hole that I want to say Benny let him shoot for that first pitch. The second pitch he's got the bunt on, and we'll see what he's got going here.
A ball and a strike. Rodon sets. Martin not tipping his hand as Rodon with the inside move just to check on Ryan Rua out at second. Martin grounded into a double play his first time to the plate today. 0 for 18 now is the streak, and he gets that bunt down. It's a good one. Flowers has to make a good play to get Leonis at first. The sacrifice goes 2-3 on the putout. Rua to third, Rosales to second. And we'll see what Carlos Corcoran can do.
Great bump by Leonis. Put it exactly where he wanted to. Flowers jumped off behind the plate. Made a nice play on him.
Well, Corcoran had a base hit his first time to the plate. The first Ranger hit of the afternoon. That was leading off the third inning. Up there with Rua at third, Rosales at second. White Sox playing the infield back as Rodon misses with ball 1. Rodon now about ready to throw his 77th pitch of the afternoon. Carlos trying to tie this ball game up. Got a pitch down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Only 4 opportunities for the Ranger catcher to bat with a runner at third with fewer than 2 out. 75% of the time. 3 of those 4 chances he's gotten the runner home. Little whooper to right field. That's a base hit. Rua scores. Rosales stops at third, and Carlos Corcoran, with his 2nd consecutive base hit, gets the Rangers on the board and cuts the lead for the White Sox to 3-1. That's a nice job of hitting.
Very nice job of hitting. Rodon went away from him. Something off speed down in the zone. He just stuck the bat out there, and hey, that's how you got to do it sometimes. You got to do what you can, make contact, put the ball in play. Runners in second and third with no outs. You want to put that ball in play. And you might just get a hit just like he did here. Drive in 1 run. Not deep enough to get Rosie home. Garcia was playing shallow with Corby up in right field.
Corcoran has picked on the White Sox this year. Remember, he had a career-high 5 RBI game at home a couple of weeks ago against the White Sox, and another RBI. So out of his 11 runs driven in this year, 6 of them have come against Chicago. Don Cooper, the longtime pitching coach for the White Sox, out to talk to Rodon. Rangers making some noise here in the 5th inning. A run across, runners at first and third, still just 1 out. And Rougned Odor at the plate. Odor had a fly ball to center. His first trip to the dish. Now Rodon with the first pitch to him. That is chopped foul. Rougned going up there with an idea of what to look for, and just pulled the trigger a bit early.
Yeah, he's got an idea of what he wants to hit and what Rodon's been throwing him already, and what he's been throwing or how he's been throwing to other left-handers.
Rosales coming down the line from third. Corcoran the lead from first. Rodon missing by the full width of the plate on that one. 1-1 to Rougned. Odor pretty good in these opportunities. 8 out of 11 times this year with a runner at third and fewer than 2 outs. 2 balls and a strike.
And Odor's looking for something up in the zone, something he can hit to the outfield. You don't particularly want to hit a ground ball here in this situation. You got the double play in order. You got the shortstop and second baseman playing in, and this is a slow field. So he wants to get something up in the zone, something he can hit to the outfield.
Pulls this one to the second baseman Sanchez. The second for 1, not in time to turn him. In to score is Rosales, and Odor able to leg out the return on the back end of that double play attempt. And he gets the RBI. The Rangers have cut the lead to 1. It's now 3-2 Chicago.
Ruben pulled this ball just to the left of Carlos at second base. Carlos trying to turn the double play, got rid of it quickly. And Alexi Ramirez came across that bag in a hurry. Well, Odor was getting down that line and weren't able to turn it, so we get another RBI.
Well, Mac, you're right about the footing out here too. This we've seen 4 or 5 guys now fall down in this. Have their footing betray them on this infield this afternoon.
Yeah, this field looks to be a little sandy, and the dirt looks really thick, and that's what slows it down. So you can't really get that good footing. You know, over the years that I played there, it was typically the grass that really held the ball up. And I haven't been on the field yet. Well, I've been down there, but the grass doesn't look so as thick as it normally does. And it looks to me as though the dirt is.
Shin-Soo Choo taking ball 1. Choo 0 for 2. He has grounded out twice, once into a double play.
You know, a lot of times teams will tailor their field to their personnel. And over the years, the White Sox really never had base stealers. They may have had one, but when you've got 2 or 3, you want to have a fast field, a quick field. If you've got some infielders that aren't very agile and don't move well, you want that grass to be thick. You want that dirt to be kind of soggy and maybe a little sandy to try and suck up as many ground balls as possible and give your fielders an opportunity to field it. And then when you run into a situation where you've got a visiting team that has base stealers, you even add more onto it by soaking down first base a little bit more, making it soggier, so they can't get a good jump at first base.
Sure.
So there are a lot of things that go on. If you've got teams that with guys that bunt and lay the ball down, they'll tilt those lines, or used to anyway. I don't think they do it as much anymore. But yeah, as a home field, you want to try and create the advantage for yourself depending on your personnel.
There goes Odor. The pitch is low, and Odor steals it standing up. And there again, Rodon not very quick in getting the ball to home plate. Once he begins his move, apparently fairly easy to read at first base. And Odor just set sail for second, and Flowers didn't even bother.
There was no chance to get Odor. I think a lot of times a pitcher get his mind made up, especially a left-hander, get it in his mind, hey, I'm going to the plate, and we'll forget about that runner at first base.
The 29th pitch of this inning, and called strike 3 to SHIN-SOO. Caught looking, and he is out of there. But the Rangers come back and score a couple. 2 hits, a runner left, halfway through the ball game. White Sox 3, Rangers 2. Diamondbacks, the first 15,000 fans 14 and over will take home a Hawaiian Rangers t-shirt. That's courtesy of Fox Sports Southwest. Visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets for July 7th. U.S. Cellular in the south side of Chicago. Rangers climbing back into this ball game, 2 in the top of the 5th inning. A 3-2 White Sox lead, and now Nick Martinez going to work in the bottom of the 5th. Adam LaRoche will start things off. Nick now trying to put up a 0 out there to see if he can get his ball club back in the bench after your team scores to get back in the ball game. You're going to go out. It's just like a shutdown inning after the team's given you a lead. You're going to go out and give them an opportunity to come back to the dugout quickly and go to hitting again.
You do, and hitters really like that. You know, you score some runs. It's all about rhythm, getting that timing, getting that momentum. And when your pitcher goes out there and gives you a shutdown inning after you've scored some runs, you feel like, hey, I can come back in. Let's add some more to it.
LaRoche today has had a sacrifice fly and walk. He has now driven in 25. And Nick misses low and inside. 3 balls and a strike. LaRoche always a very good eye at the plate. He just will not go out of the strike zone very often. And he is ahead 3-1. Trying to get aboard to start off this inning, Melky Cabrera. He's going to follow. 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. Missing badly high and away. Second time that LaRoche has drawn a walk. That's only the second walk of the game for Nick. Now Melky Cabrera, who has hit with a target on him the first 2 times up. Nick plunked him with breaking balls each time. Inning by inning breakdown. You see Nick, consistency-wise, has struggled a bit this afternoon. Ball 1 is low. White Sox now with the leadoff walk have had their leadoff man aboard in all but 1 inning. Last inning was the first and only 1-2-3 frame that Nick Martinez has worked. Cabrera hit by a pitch twice, advanced to third his last time on base. Pulls one to Odor. They're going to turn it into 2, and it gets away from Mitch Moreland. Mitch trying to keep his foot on the bag and reach for the throw, was not able to glove it. And what could have been a 4-3 double play just turns into a 1-out line drive. That ball had to sail or something on Mitch.
Yeah, it might be the backdrop out there. That Stanley sign is kind of bright, and it's right there in line with Mitch. And it's just a tough place to see. I'm not making excuses for guys, but having played here many years, it's tough to see in day games, much tougher in day games than it is night games. And when you're looking into the stands and that's your backdrop trying to catch that baseball that's the same color as that backdrop out there, that Stanley performance sign out there in left field and the stands, it can be pretty difficult to see.
Alexi Ramirez dunks one into center field, right off the end of the bat. And he has a one-out single. Stopping at second is Adam LaRoche. So 2 on and 1 out. As Alexi Ramirez has his first base hit of the day. Now before Conor Gillespie steps to the plate, let's send it back to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. Well, Mike Maddox out to the mound again to kind of slow things down. And Nick Martinez, 83 pitches already. He's just 1 out here in the 5th inning. And, Mike out there to order up a double play ball or suggest a double play ball to him. And I think Nick probably said that's a pretty good idea. Let's try and do that.
Yeah, I think he likes that idea. A nice little ground ball here somewhere. Get out of this inning.
Conor Gillespie, left-handed hitting third baseman up there, is 1 for 2 today. Had a single into center field leading off the second. And last time up in the third, popped out. Some action beginning out of that Ranger bullpen in support of Nick Martinez. Here's the big curveball that drops into Gillespie for strike 1. Ross Detweiler, left-hander, one of 3 left-handers now in the Ranger bullpen. Up and throwing, Detweiler and Alex Claudio, just recalled from AAA yesterday. And Sam Freeman, all throwing from the port side in the bullpen. 0-1 pitch from Martinez. Pulled the string. It is 0-2.
You know, Buzz, it seems as though Nick is able to make pitches when he needs to make them. You know, and not let the wheels fall off of any given situation. You know, you're going to bend, you're going to give up some stuff. Something behind you is going to happen. You may not have your best stuff, but still being able to make a pitch when you need to make one to get a play made for you.
You know, I think that's one thing, Mac, we saw from Nick Martinez last year that he was lacking a little bit, which is understandable. You know, your first go around at the big league level, you don't really understand what it takes to be able to do that, to kind of gather your strength, gather your thoughts, and make the proper pitch in a tight spot. And Nick has certainly improved in that area. He's gotten the experience to understand what kinds of adjustments he has to make given the situation. 0-2 pitch. That is strike 3. I thought it was foul tip for a second, but Gillespie, a big strikeout. 2 gone, and now Tyler Flowers coming up.
Nick going with another breaking ball down in the zone. You see Corby go down and in. Like a fastball right there. We all missed that one. Had trouble with that. I told you it's tough to see. Even on the monitor.
That's right. Hazy monitors, hazy background, hazy skies.
Hazy eyes.
Just hazy. So still 2 on and 2 out now. Flowers hit by a pitch last time up. First time up, grounded into a double play. LaRoche at second, Ramirez at first. The pitch on the outside corner to Tyler Flowers. Flowers a 209 average as Nick Martinez gets set to deal to him. And Carlos Corporand, although, have a little disagreement about the pitch selection. Now the right-hander's ready. Tried the inside and just missed inside. Pretty good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. That was the pitch he hit Flowers with on the 0-2 last time up. Tried to come inside off the plate and just didn't command the inside 6 inches off the plate very well. slow version of the breaking ball. 2-1. I think Nick has changed speeds more with the breaking ball today, mixing up slider curveball than we've seen him recently. Trying about everything he has in his bag of tricks.
Is that something you do when you don't typically have your command?
Yeah, it is. You're searching for something, either release point or feel or whatever for that breaking ball, and you finally settle on one, hopefully, that it's sometime during the game and not during a bullpen session next time out. A 3-1 count to Flowers. Flowers, the number 8 hitter. He'll be followed by Carlos Sanchez, the second baseman. Here's Sanchez. Nick peering in for the signs, picks one out. Now the 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. That will load him up. And Carlos Sanchez coming up. So Nick with 2 walks in the inning. 3 in the ball game. He's also had 3 hit by pitch today. So there's been a merry-go-round of base runners, but only giving up 3 runs and trying to keep it right there. Nick, in 2 other innings, has left the bases loaded. He would like to have the same thing with Sanchez up there. Off the end of the bat, down to third, and Rosales will step on third, and that'll do it. So, indeed, Nick Martinez able to leave 3 stranded for the White Sox. They had a couple of walks and a base hit. On to the 6th in Chicago. White Sox by 1. Today's jackpot is worth $1,100 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Ronnie Sackler from Wiley will win $1,100. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Ronnie's going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Ronnie, you got the right guys coming up. Rangers have the numbers 2, 3, and 4 hitters against Carlos Rodon. Rodon will face Elvis Andrus, whom he has walked 1 time. Elvis 0 for 1. And Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland. Rangers 2 runs on 3 hits this afternoon. The White Sox 3 runs on 6 hits. Breaking ball from Rodon is inside for ball 1. Now the left-hander to the wide. And misses low. 2 balls and no strikes. Elvis 2 out of 12 on this road trip. Began with 2 games in L.A. and last night this afternoon. Will conclude tomorrow afternoon. Elvis takes a strike. 2-1. Elvis just 4 out of his last 19 trips to the plate. There's that wicked breaking ball from Rodon down and in to the right-handed hitter. Rodon at one point was rated the top collegiate prospect in the draft prior to the 2014 draft. A lot of talk this spring about would the White Sox take him to the big leagues or let him start in AAA and stay there for a while. He was brought up in pretty short order. The 3-2 pitch. Chopper to third. GILLASPIE sticks his glove out and he goes right in it.
Wow. Big shovel over there. The only play he had on it to come in is swipe at it like that. That's really all you could do. That caught in between hops, but was able to make the play. This big chopper here in that second hop. There wasn't anything he could do, but just that. Man, that's a big old glove he's got over there.
Yeah, it is. A bushel basket. No, one out. Here's Prince Fielder. Fielder and Moreland both have really had trouble with Rodon this afternoon. They both have struck out each time they've faced him. Prince fouls back that first pitch. I think Prince would like to have that one back.
I know Prince would like to have that one back.
It was kind of up there where he not only saw it well, but had a pretty good hack at it.
It's the best pitch he's had to hit all day.
1 ball and 1 strike.
Don's been pretty consistent keeping that ball down and away from Prince. And you know, we were talking earlier in the ball game about how difficult it is to hit here. And you see Prince doesn't have his glasses on this time. He had them on the first time. So there's some guys down there definitely with, you know, just not sure which way to go. Just trying to figure it out.
Probably can change from at bat to at bat too, can it, Matt?
It can, because we've got the sun coming back out now. So it definitely changes throughout the course of the game.
Slowly hit up the middle. Charging Sanchez. Fielder out. 2 gone. And that'll bring up Mitch Moreland. Carlos Rodon now with 17 outs in the game. 11 of them have come on ground balls. Our T-Mobile game changer. With Mitch Moreland coming to the plate. Last 8 ball games for Mitch. 8 for 11 with runners in scoring position. And 3 go-ahead RBI for Mitch. Of course, go-ahead RBI in last night's game. Drove in the only 2 Ranger runs in that 9th inning, a pitch hit single with the bases full. Lines one to left. Mitch has his first base hit. That chases Cabrera over toward the corner, and after a long turn, Mitch hangs on with a 1-out or 2-out single. Boy, a good piece of hitting there by Mitch. And again, it looked like after taking a lot of pitches early in the game, the Ranger hitters have settled on what they want to see when they come to the plate.
Right, this third time through the order, they've got a pretty good idea of how Rodon's going to pitch them. And if they see something in that area that they like, they're going to go after it. Mitch gets a fastball on the outside part of the plate, stays with it, goes with it, hits the ball where it's pitched. Nice piece of hitting.
Well, the Rangers with the tying run aboard with 2 outs. And Ryan Rua lofts a towering fly ball down the right side, and he'll be back out of play as Garcia over there just to make sure. No 0-1 to Rua. Rua had a single off the glove of the third baseman Conor GILLASPIE his last time up. It was his first hit since getting back into the lineup last evening. Rua 0 for 4 in yesterday's game. And he had a 12-game rehab stint in the minor leagues. He had 175 in those 12 games. The Rangers facing all the left-handers really had a need for a right-handed bat. Rua close enough to being game ready that they decided to go ahead and activate him. 0-2 here. Ryan opened the season with the Rangers as their left fielder. Had 5 starts, went 4 for 17. He had a non-displaced fracture in his right heel. Suffered the home opener. Hits this one high in the air to right center. Garcia moving to his right, puts it away. That'll do it. A Marlins single goes for naught. The Rangers strand their third runner of the game after 5.5. 3-2 Chicago. A special wine tasting event. Fans 21 and older will be invited to sample wines from a number of different producers, including Gallo and Constellation brands, and Vineyards of Florence, and a whole lot more. In addition to wine tasting, the event includes a buffet and a ticket to the game against the Yankees that day. Visit TexasRangers.com/wine to purchase. Nick Martinez back out to the hill, and Adam Eaton, who is now leading off for the fourth time this afternoon, starts off the sixth inning. He takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Eaton led off the first with a single, the third with a single, and the fourth with a fly ball to center. So 2 out of 3. A .247 average. He lines one to left center, but Leona's had him shaded that way. Into the gap he goes for out number 1. Now Avisail Garcia will come up.
He's been able to get Eaton out the last couple of times with fly balls in center field. Making his pitches where he wants, putting them where he wants to get them.
Garcia 1 for 3. Singled in the third, scored a run. That was the inning that the White Sox put together 3 hits, an error, and a couple of hit batters for all 3 of their runs. Oh, 0-1 to Garcia. Elvis trying to short hop, and it goes off his glove and into shallow left center. Elvis trying to come in and scoop it on a short hop. Couldn't come up with it. And that's going to be an error. Second error of the day charged to Elvis Andrus.
See that ball actually take a little bit of a hop. You see how sandy and how thick that dirt is, or sand is out there. You know, every field is not made the same. Every infield has different type of dirt, different types, and this just looks to be sandy. A lot sandier than most fields.
So 1 on, 1 out. Jose Abreu with a single and 3 trips steps in. Abreu's single also came in that third inning, and Nick Martinez drops in that big curveball for strike 1. Nick studying the signs from Carlos Corcoran. 1 ball and 1 strike. Lakers now with 2 errors this afternoon, and as we mentioned, a pretty good roll. They've had 3 errors now in the last 2 days. 58 errors this year. And still next to last. Oakland on the bottom as far as fielding percentage goes. Hard hit, but pulled foul by ABREU. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Fielding's a big part of winning ball games. You got to be able to catch the baseball and get some good solid pitching. Your defense has to help you out a little bit.
Now we talk about how well the Rangers starters have been throwing, how consistently well the last 2.5 weeks. That's a big part of it too. The defense. Defense has been going through a streak where it has been as good as it has been all year until the last 2 games.
Yeah, you like to see that, obviously. You know, good, clean, crisp defensive games.
Two and 2 to ABREU. Nick checks Garcia at first. Gets a ground ball right back to him to second for 1. Odor turns it over, and there you go. A 1-4-3 double play takes care of the error. No runs, no hits, nobody left, and we have finished 6th in Chicago. The White Sox 3 and the Rangers 2. Sox lumped all 3 of their runs into the 3rd inning. Alan LaRoche got it started with a sac fly. And then a ground ball up the middle. He eluded Elvis and played it a couple more. Rangers came back with Carlos Corcoran, a 2-run single to right field. Woodnet Odor with the fielder's choice ground out. And the Rangers had cut the lead to 3-2. Now as we go to the 7th inning, Carlos Rodon is finished, and Zach Putnam, the right-hander, coming on to take his place. Well, Zach Putnam, 27-year-old right-hander, originally selected by the Cleveland Indians back in the 2008 draft. On now, he's out of the University of Michigan. He was the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year back in 2008. Putnam, a cutter-splitter combination. He throws reasonably hard, and that splitter and cutter, a pretty good combination for him. And he will face Joey Gallo, pinch hitting for Adam Rosales to start off the Rangers' 7th inning. So Gallo off the bench, facing Zach Putnam. The split-finger pitch on the outside corner for strike 1. split-fingered pitch off the outside corner for strike one. That one's in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Joey Gallo trying to get aboard to start off this 7th inning. Rangers trailing by 1. Gallo with a .224 average. And Putnam misses outside. It is 2 balls and a strike. Joey 5 home runs and 10 RBI.
Yeah, but he's been struggling a lot lately. The last 4 games, he's had 9 strikeouts and 12 at bats. So I think Bandy really wanted to give him a rest against the left-hander Rodon today, but you've got a right-hander in there, so you've still got to be ready.
Yep. Give him an opportunity to put him in the best chance for him to succeed. He's ahead in the count. 3 balls and a strike. Gallo trying to get aboard to start this 7th inning. He's hitting in the 6th position in the batting order. 3-2. Leonis Martin will follow. White Sox in an extreme overshift against Gallo, and even more so now that it's gone to 3-2. Payoff pitch from Putnam. Got him swinging. Joey Gallo strikes out in his pinch hitting assignment. 1 gone for Martin. Leonis Martin this afternoon is grounded into a double play and had a sacrifice bunt. 0 for 1. Leonis, first pitch, looking at it for ball 1. Martin against Putnam, 1 for 1. A single against him back in Arlington last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. 1 ball and 1 strike. Infield shifted to the right a couple of steps against Martin. Outfield pretty much straight away. There's a high drive deep to right field. Down the line. If it's fair, it's out of here. It is foul. Martin turning on that inside Putnam pitch. Just missed the foul pole.
Got a pitch he was looking for. Got something inside. Turned on it pretty good. Like a little cutter inside off the plate.
Yep.
Team got the head to it. Looked it just a little bit too much.
Well, Leonis talking to the on-deck hitter, Carlos Corcoran. And Jeff Bannister going to ask the umpires if they would have a conference. Now, you can't challenge the ruling. Well, the home run calls are not challengeable anyway. That's an umpire's decision. But Rangers are out of challenges. They lost earlier in the ballgame. Jeff Bannister asking if the umpires would consider it. And Jerry Davis, the crew chief, is considering it. He's going to go over and get hooked up on the headset to Replay Command Center along with Phil Cuzzy, the home plate umpire. Third base umpire Will Little going to go over and give his input to Jerry Davis. The thing was so high, might have appeared to go over the foul pole, over the height of the foul pole, and when it was down there.
I lost it.
Tough to pick up a ball. It is hard to see here. It is, even from where we are. We're okay. Once the ball's hit on the ground, I can follow that. But you get it up in the air, it's a little tough.
And it's even tough when you're on the field to see those balls that are close to foul pole. You a lot of times you'll see, or what I would try to do is I'd try to get over to that foul pole or get to the line anyway so I can get a better angle at it.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's not possible.
That's about the closest thing we have to being able to show you in relation to the foul pole where the ball came down. But that really doesn't give you anything right down the line that shows you in relation to the foul line where that ball traveled. It looked like from the vantage point that we have up here that the ball was pretty much foul when it left the bat. It didn't look like it was hooking much. Here's one more look at it. And Leonis looking at it, and he's doing a little bit of umpiring. He said, no, I don't think so. And he saw Jerry Davis, the first base umpire, say foul and came back. So the third time that the umpires have had to huddle with the headsets on. A couple challenges. One won by the White Sox, one lost by the Rangers. And now the umpire reviewing the home run call. And again, the replay command center back in New York has versions we don't have access to. So we can't show you every one that they are privy to. Sorry about that. The technology just is that way.
How about a drone at every field? What do you think of that? Fly around, follow the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. What they ought to do is put little beepers on the ball, embed them in the ball, and just have it, have a little radar thing and track them.
Looks like the replay center in New York's having about as much trouble as we are here.
Yeah, yeah. And it's pretty tough to, unless you had a camera looking straight up the foul pole and saw it that way. That thing was so high, it's pretty tough to tell where a ball was when it went by the foul pole.
Now, Buzz, I think you just came up with an idea.
The beeper or the camera?
The camera.
The camera.
Pointing straight up.
Well, they do that in football. The goalpost,
right.
Goalpost cameras have it looking straight at the goalpost. And it is going to be confirmed a foul ball. So the umpire review, the call will stand. Yeah. Well, it took 2 minutes and 34 seconds to confirm that Jerry Davis, or at least make Jerry Davis feel a little bit better about his call. No, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Leonis Martin. Zach Putnam, base is empty, 1 out here in the top of the 7th inning. Got him swinging. Well, Putnam has struck out 2 that he has faced here in the 7th. And Carlos Corcoran will come to the plate next. Folks, tomorrow is a Father's Day tradition, the final round of the U.S. Open Golf Championship. Coverage from Chambers Bay begins at 1 o'clock only on your local Fox station, where you can watch all the action on your phone or tablet with Fox Sports Go. Corcoran 2 for 2 today. For the first time this afternoon, hitting from the left side of the plate. Rodon, he batted twice and had a pair of singles, 1 to left, 1 to right. He drove in the first Ranger run back in the 5th inning. Putnam with the 0-1 pitch. Well, he has a nasty splitter going today.
That's not a nice pitch. It looks just like a fastball coming out of your hand, and all of a sudden somebody takes a hammer and knocks it straight down.
Well, that and the cutter that he throws are pretty complementary pitches. They work well in tandem. Ahead of the count, 0-2 to Corcoran. Got him swinging. Well, Putnam comes in, strikes out the side in order. And we'll take the stretch at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. The White Sox leading the Rangers 3-2. 10th. And a University Day ticket includes an exciting Rangers baseball game and a Texas Rangers cap in your school's colors. The first 1,000 fans at the ballpark who purchase an OSU University Day ticket will receive a special OSU-themed Rangers cap. Visit TexasRangers.com/UDays to get your tickets and see a lineup of all University Days this season. Now, Nick Martinez is finished after 6 innings of work, and even though it was a bit of a struggle today for Nick, it was still a quality start if you value those calculations. 6 innings of work, 6 hits today for Nick, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. And Ross Detweiler has entered the ballgame, his 11th appearance of the year, his 4th relief outing as a Ranger. He deals outside Adam LaRoche. Ross Detweiler came in, Joey Gallo at third, by the way. Detweiler came into the ballgame the other night in Los Angeles and got a very big out, preserving that Ranger lead. LaRoche today has been aboard all 3 times. Excuse me, all 2 times. He walked twice and had a sacrifice fly. And our forward leaderboard, well, the White Sox have had problems. Runs per game, they are 3rd lowest in baseball at 3.42 runs per game. Softly hit out to Rougned Odor, and LaRoche finally retired for the first time without producing a run. 1 gone. Next will be Melky Cabrera facing the left-hander Detweiler. Cabrera really struggling against left-handed pitching. Cabrera stepping to the plate. Against left-handers this year, he's hitting 133. Against right-handers, 269 average. He's one of the guys, the switch hitters that really struggling. And we saw a couple of other hitters doing that. Most recently, Boston Red Sox. And Cabrera grounds one to short. Bobbled by Elvis. He recovers and throws him out. Boy, Elvis having a devil of a time this afternoon. Fielding wise, just couldn't handle that cleanly, but he got the out. 2 gone.
Elvis staying with that ball. Tough. Just not having a good day so far defensively.
No. No, 2 up, 2 away for Detweiler. Now Alexi Ramirez steps in. Ramirez has an RBI. He's gone 1 for 3 with a 5th inning single. Oh, 1 pitch. Was charging. That one he handled very cleanly, and a very quick 1-2-3 inning. 3 ground balls in a 9-pitch inning for Ross Detweiler. 1-2-3 and gone are the White Sox. After 7, 3-2 Chicago. one more game here tomorrow afternoon against the White Sox. An off day on Monday, and then it's a very quick 3-game homestand against the Oakland A's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Back on the road to conclude the month of June. You got 3 in Toronto and 4 in Baltimore. And that's the last road trip before the All-Star break. We'll just finish up the pre-All-Star game section of the season at home. LA, San Diego, and company. Arizona coming in also. Rougned Odor starting things off, and the new pitcher on the hill for the White Sox is the left-hander Zach Duke, Waco native. Duke coming on now. He has been around Pittsburgh and Arizona, Washington, Cincinnati, Milwaukee. Throwing strike one from kind of down south. Drops down against left-handers, a little bit tough for left-handers to deal with. Gordon Beckham has entered the ballgame, taking over at third base. Who's defensive alignment we saw last night for Robin Ventura. Rougned 0 for 2, but he has an RBI this afternoon on a fielder's choice grounder. Down on the count to Duke. No balls, 2 strikes, and he is gone on 3 pitches. Well, between Duke and Zach Putnam, that's 4 straight strikeouts of Ranger hitters. 1 gone, back to the top of the order for Shin-Soo Choo.
It's got to be a doozy for left-handers watching Duke. It looks like probably looks like he's coming from around first base. You don't see it, number one, you're facing a left-hander that you don't see very often. Number two, a left-hander that drops down and comes over the top.
Yeah.
Does a little bit of both.
He's got a pretty full bag of tricks. Duke, slider sinker type pitcher. And you saw that slider coming from about 5 different angles. 0-1 to Choo. Shin-Soo has grounded out twice and struck out today. Rangers just 4 hits through the first 7 1/3 innings. 1-2.
There's a guy like that years ago that I played against. It just seems as though he can invent a pitch right in the middle of his windup. David Cone.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I called him. David invent a pitch Cone.
Foul back.
He'd have that little pause in his delivery, and that, in my mind, that was when he was deciding what he was going to throw. Am I going to drop down? Am I going to throw a slider? Am I going to throw a changeup? Or am I just going to bounce it? I don't know.
Well, he could. He in all kinds of angles. You don't see many right-handers do that.
No.
Left-handers are kind of sneaky about things like that. Fastball, and Choo not able to pull the trigger quickly enough, and he is gone on strike. Choo gone, and before Elvis steps in, we'll send it back to John Radigan for a Mazda game break. All right, John, thank you. Elvis Andrus facing Zach Duke. Duke pours in strike one. Elvis, 2 groundouts and a walk today. 0 for 2. 1 ball and 1 strike. Duke working quickly. The 32-year-old left-hander deals strike 2. Way inside. If that didn't hit him, I don't know how it missed. It was a breaking ball that started out maybe a foot inside and just kept following Elvis.
I wonder if that went between his legs.
Yeah, it could have.
He kind of did the little scissor dance there.
Oh, went under him. Elvis jumping out of the way and able to clear the ground. And the breaking ball is low and inside. It's a full count.
I'm sure there were some guys in the dugout hollering team, as in take that, get hit, we need a base runner.
Duke with the 3-2. And a chopper out towards short. Ramirez on to ABREU. That will do it. So the two relievers, Putnam and Duke, have sent the Rangers down in order. They have struck out 5 of the last 6. 7.5 in the books. White Sox leading by 1.
To this one, White Sox on top by a score of 3-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. This is the middle game of a 3-game series between these two teams. The finale tomorrow, another day game, another 1 o'clock start here on Fox Sports Southwest. Giovanni Gallardo towing the rubber for the Rangers. He is 3-0 in his last 5 starts. Jose Abreu obviously swinging a hot bat of late. Those two will square off tomorrow. Again, right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Thanks to the folks at AT&T Uverse for that valuable information, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Now, Gordon Beckham with his first at bat of the afternoon took over for CONOR GILLASPIE at third last half inning. Shallow right field, CHOO on the run, and SHIN-SOO able to make the catch as he crosses into foul territory. So Detweiler now has retired 4 straight, and he'll face Tyler Flowers. Detweiler taking over for Nick Martinez in the 7th inning. Got 3 ground balls to send the White Sox down in the 7th. Gets a fly ball from Beckham here to start the 8th. And Tyler Flowers, who is 0 for 1 officially today, grounded into a double play. Been hit by a pitch and walked. 1 ball, no strikes. Flowers a 209 average as he awaits Ross Detweiler's pitch. 2-0. White Sox 3 runs on 6 hits. Rangers 2 runs on 4 hits. Rangers have committed the only 2 errors of the ball game. And Detweiler misses. 3 balls, no strikes. So Flowers trying to get aboard with 1 out. The number 9 hitter, Carlos Sanchez, will follow. Right down the middle, 3-1. 25,738 on hand here this afternoon. Been a very comfortable afternoon. Wind had picked up for the middle innings and kind of died down a little bit. Still blowing across from right field to left field as Flowers draws the 1-out walk. He is aboard for Sanchez. The White Sox have garnered 4 walks this afternoon. They've also had 3 hit batters reach base. Now we're going to get a pinch runner for Tyler Flowers. Emilio Bonifacio is going to come off the White Sox bench and run for the White Sox catcher. The Bonifacio at first. Here is Carlos Sanchez, who turns around to hit from the right side against Detweiler. And ball one misses low.
You know, Buzz, Detweiler's had much better success against left-handed hitters this year so far than right-handers. Ladies are hitting 379 off of him. Lefties just 206.
And that off-speed pitch floats outside. 2 balls, no strikes. You know, Ross in the starting rotation to begin things, and he went 0-5. Just couldn't get himself together. Spent some time on the disabled list. He's come back working out of the bullpen. The line drive to right, but Chu got a good read on it. And playing fairly shallow against Sanchez, able to make the grab. That's out number 2. No Bonifacio still at first. Adam Eaton comes up for his 5th at bat of the day. First time today in this ball game that we have not seen Adam Eaton lead off an inning. The other 4 times he had led the innings off, 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 6th. And Ross Detweiler trying and deal with him. Bonifacio draws a throw.
You know, that's something that may not happen to Eaton again all year long. Leading off every inning or 4 of the 5 innings.
We've had some odd things happen on this road trip. Leading off 4 of the 5 times that you've come to the plate. Zach Greinke the other night throwing 5 consecutive innings of exactly 13 pitches.
Now that's
I don't think I'll ever see that again.
No, that was really good.
Yeah. Detweiler set. The check of Bonifacio. And he misses outside. Eaton showing bunt and pulled the bat back. Andy Hawkins out there in the Ranger bullpen, keeping an eye on things. One on, 2 out. There is a strike. Eaton running up as if to bunt and took it for a strike anyway. Eaton with 3 bunt hits this year. That's good for 5th in the American League. And they've got Bonifacio picked off. Mitch's throw in time as Ellis supplies the tag. And that takes care of the White Sox. The walker cut down. Bonifacio shot down. We'll go to the 9th inning. Rangers need 1 to catch up. They trail the White Sox 3-2. All right, John, thank you. Now we go to the ninth inning in a little deja vu. Rangers trailing by 1, and they're going to face David Robertson. Robertson coughed it up last night. Rangers able to get to him for a couple of runs. His 4th blown save of the year. Appearing in his 28th ball game, the Alabama native went to University of Alabama. Robertson last night, 28 pitches in that 9th inning against the Rangers. Oh, a big free agent signee by the White Sox. They went out and raided the Yankees for Robertson. Robertson, 39 saves last year for New York. White Sox figured he'd come in here and close out everything they asked him to. So far, it's been pretty good on his part, but White Sox haven't had nearly the success they had hoped for. Giovanni Soto catching, a new battery for the White Sox, and here's Prince Fielder. First ball swinging, it's out of play to the left. 0-1. Fielder 0 for 3 today. A couple of strikeouts, a ground ball to third. David Robertson, a 30-year-old right-hander. Good sharp breaking ball, down and in. No balls and 2 strikes.
Remember, Robertson's got that devastating cutter that he likes to throw to everybody. First pitch to Prince was a cutter, jammed him a little bit, fouled it off, and came back with a breaking ball.
Couldn't handle that one. That was down by his shoe top. Fielder, a strikeout. 1 gone for Mitch Moreland. Now our AT&T U-verse rewind with Mitch coming up. Same scene last night. Moreland versus Robertson. Bases loaded. Rangers trailing 1-0, and Mitch drives in 2 with that pinch hit single. His 3rd pinch hit in 4 attempts this year. And he has driven in 3 as a pinch hitter. White Sox go with the overship. And first ball swinging, Mitch pops it up. Beckham, the only White Sox on that side of the infield, makes the catch, and the Rangers now are down to their last out. Well, Robertson gets a little retribution for last night with Moreland. 2 up, 2 away. And the crowd here at U.S. Cellular standing in support of the White Sox. White Sox trying to snap an 8-game losing streak. Good sarcasm here in Chicago. I like that. Here's Ryan Rua. And first ball swinging, he pops that one up. It's going to stay in play as ABREU comes over, and that will do it. David Robertson able to close it out. A 5-pitch save for Robertson. His 14th of the year in 18 opportunities, and the White Sox have made their 8-game losing streak go away. They now have evened this series and set up a rubber game for tomorrow afternoon. So 3-2 the final here at U.S. Cellular this afternoon. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.